Look at you.
Oh my God.
Who are they?
The music was playing. People were laughing, clinking glasses, pointing at old photos pinned along the walls. Someone had put together a slideshow of yearbook pictures running on a screen near the entrance. Teenage faces, bad haircuts, the particular awkwardness of people who didn't yet know who they were going to become. It was supposed to be a warm evening, a reunion, a celebration. And then Lucas Mercer turned around. He was standing with a group near the bar. 7, maybe 8 people. Classmates, spouses, people who had known both of them since they were teenagers. He had a drink in his hand, and he was in the middle of a story. You could tell by the rhythm of his body language, the way everyone was leaning in. Then something made him turn. He saw her. For just one moment, one single, brief moment, something moved across his face. Something she recognized. Something she had seen before. Then it was gone, replaced by the smile. That particular smile. Well, he said, loud, deliberately loud. Look who finally showed up. The people around him turned. The music kept playing. But the space around Lucas went quiet in the way spaces go quiet when something is about to happen and everyone can feel it before it does. 7 years later, and she's still pretending she made the right decision. A few people laughed, not fully committed. The cautious laughter of people who aren't sure yet which direction this is going. Lucas looked at her dress, her shoes. He looked at her the way someone looks at a thing they have already decided the value of. What happened, Sophia? You look like you just came from a job interview. He paused for the laughter. Got some of it. Or are you still looking? His wife added something under her breath, just loud enough for those immediately around her. Something about the dress. Something about discount stores. More laughter. A little more committed this time. Sophia stood at the edge of the room. She did not move. Did not look for the exit. Did not look at the floor. She stood exactly where she was and looked at him. Fully. Calmly. The way you look at something you have already understood completely. 1 second. 2. 3. Then she smiled, small, real, unhurried. Said congratulations to everyone on their accomplishments, to no one in particular, and walked to her seat near the back of the room. Everyone in that ballroom believed they had just watched a woman get humiliated and do nothing about it. Everyone thought this story was already over. It had barely started. Let's go back to the moment she was standing at the entrance. Because it went by fast, and it deserved to be seen slowly. When Lucas started talking, when the words came out and the group around him began to shift and look, Sophia didn't tighten, didn't square her shoulders, didn't scan the room for an ally or an exit. She just stood there. And something about the quality of her stillness made a few people uncomfortable in a way they couldn't name. One woman standing nearby would say afterward that she had watched Sophia's face the entire time, that she kept waiting for the jaw to tighten, the eyes to fill, the expression to collapse into something wounded. It never came. It wasn't that she was hiding it, the woman said later. It was like whatever he was saying wasn't reaching her. Not because she was shut down, but because she was somewhere he couldn't get to. 2 people in Lucas's group did not laugh at all. One, a man who had known Lucas since they were 15, looked at his drink instead of at Sophia. He would not make eye contact with Lucas for the rest of the evening. Sophia held Lucas's gaze for one final second. Then she looked briefly at his wife. Not with contempt, not with pity, just a clear, direct look that saw without judging. Said her line. Warm, unhurried. Turned. Walked to the back of the room. The people around Lucas watched her go. Lucas turned back to his group. Made a gesture with his, but it had already shifted. Just slightly. Just enough. Sophia grew up in Columbus, Ohio. Her father taught high school mathematics for 30 years. Her mother worked in hospital administration. They were not wealthy. But their house was full of books and precise thinking and a moral standard that was never announced. It was simply lived, every day, until it became the only way she knew how to be. At 16, An economics teacher named Mr. Bernard Cole handed her a book on investment markets and said, "I think this is the beginning of something for you." She finished it in 3.5 days. Asked for another. She went to the University of Michigan on partial scholarship. Graduated third in her class. Got recruited immediately by a private investment firm in Chicago. That was when she met Lucas Mercer. He was in sales then. Not the pushy kind. The kind who makes you feel like he is simply telling you the truth. He had the talent of seeming completely present, of making whoever he was speaking to feel like the only person in the room. Sophia was careful about people. She did not fall quickly, but Lucas was patient. He asked real questions and actually listened. He showed up early, remembered small things she mentioned once and brought them up weeks later. She fell, slowly and completely. They married in a small ceremony, both families, a handful of close friends, a backyard in June. Her father cried quietly during the vows. For the first 2 years of marriage, she was genuinely happy. The real kind. The quiet, ordinary daily kind where you wake up and the person beside you makes the morning feel like something good. Then things began to change. Not suddenly. The way a structure weakens, invisibly, internally, long before anything shows on the outside. The comments started small. At a dinner party. You don't have to explain it so technically, Sophia. People's eyes glaze over. Laughed off. She let it go. Months later. You care more about your spreadsheets than you care about us. She apologized. Adjusted. Then quietly, almost to himself. Sometimes I feel like I'm married to a calculator. She didn't respond. Went to bed. Lay in the dark. The miscarriage happened in the 3rd year. She will not share those details. What she will say is that it rearranged something inside her that never fully rearranged back. She needed real time to move through it. Lucas wanted her to move faster. Used the word unstable once, carefully, like he was concerned. She went to therapy alone. He came twice and stopped. By year 4, she had learned how to be lonely inside a marriage. She told herself it was a rough patch, that the man she had chosen was still there somewhere. Then she found the documents. A Tuesday evening. Lucas's laptop was open on the kitchen counter. He never left it open. She almost walked past. Something made her stop. A financial report on the screen. She recognized the format immediately. She worked with documents like this every day. But the numbers were wrong. Not accidentally wrong. Strategically wrong. Someone had altered specific figures, investor return projections, asset valuations, fund performance metrics, subtly enough to survive a surface review, but fundamentally misrepresenting the fund's health to incoming investors. She sat down, went through it file by file, methodically, quietly, hands completely steady. Lucas and 3 senior partners had been manipulating fund performance data for at least 18 months. The falsified reports had attracted institutional investment, pension funds, private trusts, foundations. Hundreds of millions of dollars from people who believed they were putting their money into something real. It was fraud. Clear, criminal, provable fraud. And Lucas had been living in her house the entire time. She photographed every document, transferred everything to a private encrypted cloud account, locked the folder, closed the laptop exactly as she had found it. When Lucas came home that night, she was on the couch reading. "Hey," he said. She did not look up. 3 weeks later, he came to her. Saturday morning. Kitchen table. He explained, calmly, rationally, that certain reporting adjustments were standard industry practice, that investors understood the nature of risk. Then he told her what he needed. Her signature on a series of documents. Her credentials would add legitimacy, would protect both of them. "It's not as bad as it sounds," he said. "I need you to trust me." She let him finish. "No," she said. "Just that." His voice dropped. "Sophia, I need you to understand what's at stake here. For both of us." "I understand perfectly," she said. "My answer is no." 5 seconds of silence. Something moved through his face in those 5 seconds. She watched it happen. She was seeing him clearly for the first time, not the performance. The thing underneath the performance. He stood up, left the room without another word. She poured her coffee, sat at the table alone, and made 2 decisions. She would not sign anything. Not now. Not ever. And she would not wait for him to move first. Lucas moved fast. Within days, he had begun making quiet, careful, concerned conversations with their shared friends. He told them she had never recovered from the miscarriage, that she had become obsessive, paranoid, making accusations that had nearly cost him his position. He said it with the face of a heartbroken man who had tried everything. People believed him, because he was present and she was private. Because the story of a successful man burdened by an unstable wife is one people receive easily when it is delivered with practiced sadness. He filed for divorce within weeks. Her lawyer laid it out plainly. Fighting aggressively meant years in court, public exposure of the fraud, and immediate targeting by Lucas's partners and their resources. She was one person. They were many. She took the modest settlement, signed the papers. But before she left Chicago, she did one more thing. She logged into a secure federal reporting portal, filed a formal tip with the Securities and Exchange Commission, uploaded the encrypted documents, attached a written statement under her full name. She was told it could take years, that she should not expect a particular outcome. "I don't expect anything," she said. "I'm just telling you what I know." She left on a gray March morning. 2 suitcases, radio off, window cracked. She drove out of Chicago with the settled certainty of a woman who knows she has done the right thing even when the right thing looks exactly like losing. His name was Arthur Keene, 71 years old, 40 years in private equity. He had been a silent minority investor in Lucas's fund. When the irregularities appeared, he paid attention. He watched who pushed back and who went along. He found out about Sophia, what she had seen, what she had refused to do, what it had cost her. He tracked her down 6 months after the divorce, called her directly, asked for coffee. He explained what he had: a struggling private equity fund, bad leadership, broken culture, declining returns. He needed someone with the financial intelligence to rebuild it and the personal integrity to do it honestly. "I've met brilliant people who lie," he said. "I've met honest people who aren't capable enough. I need both in one person. In 40 years, I've seen it maybe twice." He slid a folder across the table. "Full independence on investment decisions," Sophia said. "Yes. If I disagree with a direction, I won't be overruled on seniority." "Correct. My equity stake increases with performance, not at your discretion." "Page 7, he said. She picked up the folder. "I'll call you tomorrow morning." She called at 6:58 the next day. Said yes. What she built over the next 7 years is the kind of thing the financial industry still struggles to fully explain. She invested in companies others had written off, not out of sentiment, but because she could see genuine value where others only saw risk they weren't patient enough to hold. She built accountability into every deal, hired slowly, fired for character before she fired for performance. Her returns were extraordinary, not because she found shortcuts, because she didn't. By year 3, she was worth hundreds of millions. By year 5, the firm managed over $40 billion in assets. By year 7, her personal net worth had crossed $18 billion. 0 interviews, 0 magazine features, 0 social media. She operated behind a leadership team that handled all external communication. She wasn't hiding. She simply had no need for anyone to know. She was too busy building something real. If you are still locked into this story right now, good. You should be. Drop a comment and tell us where you are watching from. Just one word to describe Sophia so far. We are reading every single one. Keep watching. The next part is what everything has been building toward. The reunion invitation arrived on a Thursday. She read it once, set it aside. She would throw it away before the week was out. She had no interest in performing nostalgia for people she hadn't spoken to in 2 decades. Then her assistant mentioned the faculty recognition ceremony listed in the program. One of the names was Mr. Bernard Cole, her economics teacher, the man who had handed her that book at 16. She had heard through a mutual contact that he was battling a serious illness, that this reunion, where he was being honored for 28 years of teaching, might be one of his last public events. She RSVP'd quietly that afternoon, requested no special seating, no acknowledgement, no mention in the program. She borrowed a plain black sedan from the company's local office, wore a simple black dress she had owned for 3 years, small earrings, hair back the way she wore it to work. She was going for one reason: to see her teacher, tell him what he had started, and leave. That was all. What Lucas didn't know, what almost no one in that room knew. 3 months before the reunion, Sophia had made a phone call. Jefferson High was underfunded in the persistent, grinding way public schools tend to be. Science labs untouched since the early 2000s. A scholarship fund dissolved a decade ago. Teacher salaries low enough that the district lost good people every few years. She called the firm's philanthropic division. The donation was structured as anonymous, negotiated with the school board over several weeks. They agreed to one condition: the donor could reveal herself at the reunion during the faculty recognition segment. The gift would rebuild every classroom, fund scholarships for 50 years of graduating seniors, renovate science and technology facilities, establish an endowment to supplement teacher salaries permanently. She told no one. She did not think about Lucas when she arranged it. Not once. She thought about a 16-year-old girl with a book she had finished in 3.5 days, and a teacher who had said, "I think this is the beginning of something for you." That was the whole of it. But timing operates by its own logic. And sometimes what you build for one purpose serves another without you ever planning it that way. The principal stepped to the podium at 8:32. The room settled. Lucas was near the front. Drink refilled. Wife beside him. Mid-conversation. Sophia was at the back. Straight posture. Water glass in front of her. Present. Dr. Carol Winters spoke about the school's history. About alumni. About the faculty who made those alumni possible. Then she paused. Before we begin tonight's faculty recognition, I want to share something none of us expected. A different quality of quiet entered the room. Jefferson High School has just received the largest private donation in its institutional history. Silence. This gift will fund the complete renovation of every classroom and science lab. It establishes a permanent scholarship endowment for graduating seniors. It will modernize our library and technology infrastructure. And it creates a long-term fund to supplement faculty salaries for the foreseeable future. Someone nearby guessed a number under their breath. The person beside them shook their head. Too low. The donor negotiated this gift anonymously. As a condition, they requested the opportunity to reveal themselves tonight. In this room, the main doors opened. 2 men in dark suits entered. Behind them, a woman in a tailored jacket walked to the front and stepped to the podium. My name is David Huang. I'm the CEO of Meridian Capital Partners. Most of you have not heard that name. That is not an accident. We operate outside public channels by design. We don't do press. We don't do social media. We have spent 7 years building something that speaks entirely for itself. He looked out at the room. Meridian Capital Partners currently manages over $42 billion in assets. Our returns have been described by people in our industry as inexplicable. A pause. They're not inexplicable. They're built on a principle most of the financial world treats as impractical. 2 full seconds. Honesty. The room was completely still. The majority owner and architect of everything Meridian Capital Partners has become is in this room tonight. She has been in this room all evening. He turned slightly. Sophia. She stood up. No signal. No gesture. She simply stood up from her seat at the back, quietly and completely. The people around her turned first. The woman who had looked away from her earlier in the evening looked at her now. Did not look away this time. The man from Lucas's group who had gone quiet and stared at his drink turned in his chair and watched her with an expression that had no name for itself yet. Sophia walked toward the front. She didn't walk fast. She didn't walk with performance. She walked the way she always walked, contained, purposeful, unhurried. The whole room watched her. In complete silence. No one spoke. No glass moved. The servers along the walls had gone still. She passed Lucas's table. She did not look at him. But everyone else at that table looked at him. His wife looked at him. He was completely still. Drink untouched. His face doing something that faces do when a person's internal world is being dismantled in real time. A controlled collapse. Holding together. But only just. Sophia walked past without slowing. Without turning. Stepped up beside David Huang. Faced the room. 1 full second of silence after she stopped moving. Sophia Bennett. Founder and majority owner of Meridian Capital Partners. Net worth, as assessed last quarter, $18.4 billion. The number landed the way real numbers land. Not with fanfare, but with weight that takes a moment to distribute itself across a space. Someone inhaled audibly. A chair shifted. Then the quiet pressed back in. Heavier than before. Sophia looked out at the room. Not triumphant. Not performing. Something moved through Sophia's face. Not weakness. The particular look of a person who has been carrying something for a very long time and is finally, fully, allowed to set it down. She looked back up. And now she looked at Lucas. He was the only person in the room still seated. His wife had stood mechanically with everyone else. But she was not clapping. She was staring at the side of her husband's face with an expression that was asking a question she wasn't sure she wanted answered. Lucas was looking at Sophia. His face had moved past humiliation. Not exhaustion. Not triumph. Just the quiet release of a woman who had walked into a hard place completely intact and was walking back out the same way. Her phone showed 19 missed messages. She turned the screen face down. Tonight was already complete. The story broke 3 days later. A brief item in a financial trade publication. 4 names in an SEC enforcement investigation. Securities fraud. Investor misrepresentation spanning multiple years. Lucas Mercer's name was third on the list. By Friday, 3 national outlets had picked it up. By Saturday, it was broadly covered, partly for the scope of the alleged fraud, partly for the enormous gap between the public image Lucas had spent years building and what the documents showed. His social media went completely silent. His wife posted nothing for 10 days. Business associates issued careful, identical in structure statements expressing distance and concern. Sophia declined every interview request that followed. All 17 of them. 2 weeks after the reunion, a letter arrived. Handwritten. Plain paper. Slightly slower handwriting than she remembered, but precise. Mr. Cole wrote that he had spent 28 years watching young people move through his classroom. That he had given books and encouragement to hundreds of students. That he had always wondered, the way teachers do, what became of those moments once students walked out his door. He wrote that Sophia was the one who had surprised him most. Not because of the scale of what she had built. Because of how she had built it. Because the person who walked to the front of that ballroom was recognizably the same person who had sat in his third row. The same seriousness. The same absolute refusal to be less than what she actually was. The last lines. You were not there to prove anything. You were there because you cared. About something real. About someone real. After 28 years, I know what that looks like. I know how rare it is. And I am grateful, genuinely, deeply grateful, that I got to be the person who handed you that first book. She folded the letter carefully, placed it on the desk beside the old paperback, worn spine, cracked at the fold, pages soft from years of being turned. Looked out the window. picked up her phone, scrolled to a name, called. Hi, Mom. Sophia. The warmth in that one word. I was just thinking about you. How are you? I'm good, she said. She meant it. Completely. Without qualification. I'm really good. I just wanted to call. Her mother talked about small things. A neighbor's garden. A television program. Whether Sophia was eating enough, sleeping enough. All the things mothers ask when what they are really saying is I love you and I need to know you're all right. Sophia sat back in her chair and listened. Outside, the light shifted. The city moved, and she sat in the quiet of everything she had built. Not the office, not the billions, not the recognition. The quiet. The particular, earned, permanent quiet of a woman who knows exactly who she is and has never needed anyone else to confirm it. That was the thing. That had always been the thing. She didn't go to that reunion to win. She went because a teacher who had believed in her at 16 deserved to be honored, and she wanted him to hear it directly while she still had the chance. Everything else, the announcement, the room's silence, the expression on Lucas's face, none of that was designed. It simply happened the way truth happens when you have been patient enough to let it. Lucas spent 7 years performing success. Performing the story of a man who had been held back by a difficult woman and risen above it. He needed the audience. He always needed the audience. The woman he mocked at the entrance, in the simple black dress, who smiled and walked to the back of the room, had spent those same 7 years building something real. Quietly, consistently, without a single audience. That is the whole story. That is always the whole story. The person who needs the room to see them is never as strong as the person who has stopped needing that. Sophia Bennett didn't win by fighting. She didn't win by waiting for revenge. She didn't win by returning to prove anything to anyone. She won years before she walked through those hotel doors. She won the morning she walked out of Chicago with 2 suitcases and the complete, unshakable knowledge that she had not done anything wrong. Everything after that was just the world catching up. If this story reached something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to Morel Folktales and hit the notification bell. We are here every week with stories that matter. Tell us what Sophia made you feel. We read every single one.